Today I'm going to show you how to make a low-fat tofu scramble. So you're going to need 1 packet of extra firm tofu. You don't want none of the soft stuff. You want it to be firm or extra firm because that's what's going to give our tofu its texture. The brand I'm using is just the Sunrise tofu. It's extra firm and it's 350 grams, and I'm using the whole thing. So if you guys are only using half of this, all you have to do is just take the measurements that I put in the description and just half that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your skillet warmed up. I'm using a non-stick skillet. If you have a non-stick skillet, that's probably the best one to use because we're not using any oil or anything in this recipe. So the ingredients you're going to need are some light soy sauce. I'm using this gluten-free tamari sauce. It's really low in sodium, so we're going to use some of that. I'm also going to use some Italian herbs. You want some with no salt added as well. We are making this high carb, low fat. We don't want all that salt in there. So I'm also going to use this Herbamare sodium-free salt and some Nutritional yeast, some onion powder, and some garlic powder. So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is actually take your tofu out and just kind of drain the water out. What I do is I just take a paper towel, do it until I can get most of the water out. If you don't get all of it out, it's not the end of the world. You can still use the tofu. Like mine still has some water in it, but just get as much as you can out of it. What we're going to do is add our tofu to the pan. So all you're going to want to do is just literally squish it like that. You can already hear it sizzling. So I have this pretty much on 2, so it's not too hot, but it's still warm. And you're just going to mush it up into the pan to make a scramble consistency. So after you've washed your hands, we're just gonna kind of get this evenly distributed here on the pan. Kind of move it around with your spatula, and you can already see it's resembling the texture of scrambled eggs, or scrambled hen periods, as I like to call them, because that's what they are. This is a way healthier version of it, cholesterol-free, much better for you, and it's cruelty-free also. So I'm gonna up the temperature here just a little bit. So while that's kind of getting cooking, we're gonna get our flavorings together. So the first thing I'm gonna add in here is 3 tablespoons of my nutritional yeast. This is going to really give the flavor of like a cheesy flavor, and I'm actually just gonna add half a teaspoon more. If you really love nutritional yeast, go crazy with this. If not, just add less. Then I'm just gonna add in my salt here, or sodium-free salt, so it's not really salt, but it tastes like it, and that's all that matters. So I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, curl these around here, get them all combined, and then we're going to go back over to our scramble. So we're just going to give this a nice turn here. The reason why we're not immediately adding our flavorings in right now is because we want the flavorings to stick to the actual tofu, not the pan. So we're going to wait till the tofu is a bit drier and we got it a bit browned until we add in our flavoring. So just go about it until you've got a bit of a brown texture. I'm going to actually bring my heat up to around medium heat now. Okay, so I'm starting to see some browning here, so we're going to go ahead in and add the flavoring. And generously get everything coated on there. And then once you think you've got that pretty much incorporated, we're going to go in and add our tamari sauce. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon. You don't really have to measure it, but you can if you want, or you can just freehand it. That's really going to help bring out the flavorings. And even if you are like using like me like a non-stick pan, just make sure that you are constantly stirring it and overlooking it because we don't want it to burn. So I'm also going to go ahead in and add of the sun-dried herbs. Alright, so afterwards, what I just did is I paired it, I put it on top of some bread, and the brand that I'm using is just Hearty Grain Bread. It's from this local shop near me called Farm Boy. They make it themselves. It's 100% vegan. It says it right there. 100% natural ingredients. And I do recommend if you're going to keep this high carb low fat to make your bread also pretty low in fat. It's all simple ingredients and it only has 7% of sodium per 2 slices. I'm really sad that I didn't have any like spinach or cilantro to put on top of this, but you could definitely do that. You could also add, if you want to make like kind of like an omelet, you can add like peppers, green onions, red onions, and I didn't have any tomatoes on hand either, so I just drizzled it on top with some organic ketchup. But again, if you want to keep that really low salt, low fat, whatever, just opt out of that. If you have some tomatoes, you can add those on top too. And what I also did was I just, with the remaining scramble, I just kind of put it in a container and I will put that in the fridge and save that for another day. So just store that. So if you have any leftover, you can just keep it in the fridge, use it as leftovers whenever you're hungry.